Hello everyone, so I'm back for another episode of our Stitch Along. We're still doing variations of blanket stitch, and the stitch we're going to be doing today is called Honeycomb blanket stitch or honeycomb filling blanket stitch. And so it's often used for filling up shapes, but it makes a really decorative feature, and this one was suggested by the lovely Tess as an additional blanket stitch variation that we could try. So what you need, or what you'll ideally have, is either some lines in your fabric that you can use, or otherwise drawing some equally spaced lines so that you have 5 lines, essentially an A, B, C, D, E down the page. So I'm going to use the top of this tan line, then my second line will be the top of the blue, third the top of the second bit of blue, and then the paler blue will be my fourth and my fifth. So they're my sort of lines that I'm going to work, and then we're going to work a row of regular blanket stitch along them. So I'm starting with my threaded needle, which has a knot on the end, and I'll start just a little bit inset from where my scallops are. So we're going to do a regular blanket stitch, so you can either do where you go down in one movement and then up in the other to form the loop, or you can do where you pass the needle through at the one time. I'll see how it goes in the hoop doing the passing needle maneuver. So this is where I'm doing the one stitch rather than the up and down stitch to form my blanket stitch. So you're just wanting to space it. So you're basically forming blanket stitches that look like squares, I guess. Well, not fully enclosed squares, but the shape of a square. So the two sides being approximately the same. And because it's kind of a geometric design that we're creating, you want to keep it relatively even. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to get really precise, you could draw it on, but I don't feel the need to get that precise now. I just need to always make sure thread is behind my needle so I get that loop. So hope you're having a great day or a great evening. Just been out at the park with Travis, enjoying a break between some showers. It's lovely when it's all fresh after the rains, but the sun was shining. And there are a few other dog walkers out as well, obviously, taking that opportunity to give their four-legged friends a sniff and a wander break. Okay. I feel like my thread is getting twisty, so I'm just going to let my needle spin around and untwist the thread. Always helps. Might have gone slightly higher on the previous one, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Slightly hard to see exactly where the tan line is when I'm looking down through the camera. Now, I think we're probably almost at the point where I'll just do a stitch out to the side to anchor it down. Okay, so we're going to take our needle back to the front of the work at the halfway point of our next row. So if the top of our next row is the blue shaded and the bottom is the white shaded, we're going to pop our needle out there and just slightly indent from the start of the previous stitch, And then we're going to take our needle under the previous stitch in the upper row without piercing the fabric. So we're hooking ourselves onto that. And then we're going to come up halfway along, sort of halfway below, so offset from the above stitching. Pop it out there to make our blanket stitch. And then we're going to do the same again, pass our needle underneath the stitch in the line above, and then do our blanket stitch. So we're offset again below the above stitch, coming from the bottom of the row, and then popping the needle out halfway up the row. So that's how you're going to get that shape that's like the honeycomb shape. So again, passing our needle under the previous stitch, and then coming from the bottom of that row, popping out halfway up that row and keeping ourselves offset from where the stitches above are. So going again under the previous stitch, and then coming from the bottom of the second row, popping out halfway up the second row, and always being offset, so you're not lining it up with the rows above, you're always halfway along, so halfway offset. I hope I've explained that okay. Okay, so again, popping up from the bottom of that row to halfway up that row. And then passing the needle underneath. Coming from the bottom of that row, halfway, popping the needle out halfway. Going underneath. So this is a great stitch test. It took my brain a little bit just to kind of work out exactly how it's done. Oops. It's a nice looking stitch for sure. Okay, and then I'm assuming, do we make an equal stitch like we did, so it's sort of got that nice sort of mirror image. And then I might tie the thread off there just so that I'm not wasting the thread, because I'll be able to use that piece of thread for something else rather than just taking it back to the other side and then needing to change threads anyway. So I'm going to pop out from down here, then going to pass under the stitch, so again just from that halfway point and putting it halfway under, and then coming from the bottom of that next row, inset halfway across and halfway up. Lots of halfways in this stitch, but that's how you get that honeycomb effect. And again from the bottom of the row, halfway across, and then taking the stitch out halfway up the row. Again, passing under the previous stitch. Coming from the bottom, popping the needle out halfway, And now we're lining up with those first stitches because we're not offset from those first stitches, we're just offset from the ones in the previous row. So you could always draw yourself grid lines in both directions if it was helpful for you in navigating where you needed to stitch. I think once you're up to this stage, it's fine. It's just when you do that first row of the honeycomb after the regular blanket stitches, just working out where to put your needle for that. I'll include a link to a page which has some diagrams on it as well, which might be helpful for you. So I'll pop that in the description below. But I definitely like this stitch, so thank you, Tess. I like the effect it gives. I think I would be inclined, yeah, to always tie off before you then go back to the start, because otherwise you're wasting a fair bit of thread, and we don't want to waste our nice thread. So I just need to hold that to take that through. Okay, and then I guess I just take it down. Again. Now we might do one more row, but I am going to do what I suggested and tie it off, and then we'll do one more row because I am kind of enjoying it. So hopefully if you're doing it along with me, hopefully you're enjoying it too. Should be using my tiny embroidery scissors, not my big scissors, but again, they're the ones close at hand. Okay, let's tie a knot. Okay, so we'll pop up, inset again here. So just our next row starts at the top of the light blue shading and goes again to the white down below. So we'll pop out at the halfway point, and then we'll pop across under a stitch above, take the needle under the stitch above, and then we'll come down and do our regular blanket stitch. Again, offset, and then take our needle back under the stitch above. Oops, don't go under two stitches like my needle wanted to do then. And from the bottom, halfway up that row, pop the needle out so we get that nice honeycomb shape. It's almost like a lace, isn't it? A lace on the fabric. So just going to pop the needle out. Okay. It's a bit of twisting and turning with this, isn't it? I think definitely having it in the hoop does help just to keep everything kind of stable while you're manoeuvring your needle, particularly if you're doing the sort of not the stabbing but the trying to line your needle up. It definitely helps. But if you don't have a hoop, you'll still be able to do the stitch. You'll just have to wangle it around a little bit more. Go. So let me know if you've done this stitch before. So far, discovering a lot of stitches I have not done. Well, not done by the names that they're listed under. But definitely not done this stitch in any form, I don't think, apart from the blankety, the regular blanket version. but I wouldn't have known how to create that honeycomb effect if it weren't for this project. Okay, take it through that stitch. And then I'll take it down. And so I think I'll finish it there. I'll tie it off after I've finished filming. But that's the effect we get of honeycomb, which is pretty cool. Lots of potential applications for that. It's just really, really pretty. So we'll try another one of the blanket variations suggested by Tess. I've still got to investigate what they are, but that will be up tomorrow. So hopefully you've still got a few spots where you can do it. I've just checked what size I can sort of go to and still fit in the book. So I'll be trying to just, fill in some of the other spaces here. So thanks for watching. Take care, folks, and I'll chat soon. Bye.